Are you thinking about moving to Charlotte? Wondering what it's really like to live in one of the fastest growing cities in the US? Well, in this video, we're breaking down all the pros and cons of living in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2025. Whether you're planning to move here, you already live here, or you're just curious, this is everything that you need to know before calling the Queen City home.
All right, guys, let's kick things off with schools. This is often one of the biggest factors for our clients when they're considering a move to Charlotte: schools and higher education. So regardless of whether you have kids in K through 12 or you're thinking about college, Charlotte has a ton to offer. But like any city, there's pros and cons, so let's break it down for you.
All right, so let's start with some good news. Charlotte has some of the top-rated public schools in the entire state of North Carolina. According to U.S. News and World Report, 4 of the top 10 elementary and middle schools in the state are located right here in the Charlotte metro area. And when it comes to high schools, Charlotte doesn't disappoint either. Providence High School is ranked #1 in Charlotte, #12 in North Carolina, and it's even landed a spot nationally in the top 500. And right behind it, as always, Audrey Kell High School holds the #2 spot in Charlotte and the #13 spot in the entire state.
Those two schools are constantly duking it out to see which one is the better rated high school in Charlotte. So just depending on the article you read or the year, Audrey Kell could be first and Providence second, or vice versa. And just outside of the Charlotte area in Gastonia is Highland School of Technology, and it is definitely making a name for itself. It's ranked #10 in North Carolina and 334th nationally. And beyond the public schools, families have plenty of options, including private schools, charter schools, specialized STEM academies, focusing on art and language immersion programs, as well as a huge homeschool following here in the Charlotte area.
Yep, and let's not forget, because Charlotte is so close to the South Carolina border, a lot of families can also consider Fort Mill a school district in South Carolina. It's ranked #1 in the entire state out of 74 districts, according to Niche.com's 2025 rankings. And it's not just the district that stands out. Fort Mill High School is ranked #7 in South Carolina, making it a strong option for families looking for top-tier education just minutes from the Charlotte area.
With all the options that families have here in the Charlotte metro area, there is a wide range of educational opportunities to choose from. Now let's talk about higher education, an important factor for families with college-bound students and really just anyone considering furthering their education. North Carolina ranks #14 in the nation for higher education and #8 for college affordability, making it a great place to earn a degree without breaking the bank. And we really appreciate this statistic since we currently have 3 kids in college right now.
Yeah, we've definitely got some fantastic options right here in Charlotte. UNC Charlotte, which is also called UNCC, is the largest university in the city, offering strong programs in business, engineering, health sciences, and technology. Queen's University is another great option, known for its small class sizes and personalized learning experience. And for those looking to start at a community college environment, CPCC, Central Piedmont Community College, is one of the best in the region, offering affordable pathways to 4-year universities and specific industrial training programs.
And let's not forget about the cost. North Carolina ranks #7 nationally for affordability in tuition and fees, and that's a huge advantage for in-state students. Plus, with many public universities participating in the North Carolina Promise tuition plan, students at certain schools like Western Carolina University and UNC Pembroke can pay as little as $500 per semester for in-state tuition.
All right, so we've covered some of the good, but we have to be real with you guys, and so truth be told, there's definitely some challenges as well in the education arena. A big one, overcrowding. So as you know, Charlotte is one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and many schools are reaching capacity. Some areas have even implemented new student freezes because they just can't take more kids. And with growth comes rezoning challenges, meaning some families might get reassigned to different schools, which can be super frustrating and a huge problem, especially when you're picking your home and where you're going to live based on a school district. And all these districts are definitely not rated equally across the board, as we mentioned. Some districts are fantastic, while others struggle a bit with resources. So you definitely make sure that you do your research. That is key.
And parents, it's your turn. Do you have kids in Charlotte schools? What is your experience? Do you love your school district, or are you facing some challenges? We recently were up for rezoning in our neighborhood, and our kids were really distraught about it. And luckily, our neighborhood stayed in its current school district, but it could definitely be distressing for families and children.
Yep, so do you love your school district, or are you also facing some challenges? Drop a comment below and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Charlotte's actually considered one of the more affordable large cities in America when comparing similar sized cities. But while Charlotte's cost of living has its perks, there's definitely a few surprises. So let's go ahead and break those down for you as well.
Let's start with the biggest expense, housing. The good news, according to payscale.com, home prices in Charlotte are about 13% lower than the national average, which is a major advantage if you're moving from a big city. Payscale is a great interactive tool where you can compare the cost of living between cities. And when I plug in places like New York, Los Angeles, and Miami, Charlotte's housing costs were anywhere from 30 to 60% lower. That's pretty significant. The average home price right now in Charlotte is around $420,000. And if you're renting, you can expect to pay somewhere between $1,600 and $1,700 a month for an apartment.
Yep. Now that all being said, if you're coming from a smaller town in North Carolina, you might experience a little bit of a sticker shock when you come here. Home prices in Charlotte are actually about 5% higher than the state average. So while it's affordable compared to other major cities and metro areas, it's definitely a bit on the pricier side when you're comparing it to North Carolina. And we don't want to forget about property taxes. So they're a lot lower than a lot of other major cities, and home insurance is generally cheaper too, unlike Florida where you need hurricane insurance, or California where fire insurance is sky high. Charlotte doesn't have those extra costs, so that's definitely something to consider.
So let's talk about your day-to-day costs, like utilities, for example. On average, Charlotte is about 5% cheaper than the national average, which is a nice bonus. And especially for those of you moving from California that are used to paying huge water bills, you're going to be really, really pleased when you get your water bill here in Charlotte, when they average about $100 for a family of 5. Groceries are pretty much in line with the rest of the country, so no major savings there. Groceries are expensive no matter where you live. But healthcare, this one was a surprise for me. It's actually 5% more expensive than the national average here in Charlotte. So if you have a lot of medical expenses, it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And those extra expenses, things like entertainment, haircuts, dining out, those things are starting to creep up. They're about 2 to 3% pricier than other parts of the country currently. But transportation costs offer a few more perks. So if you drive a lot or you use public transportation, here's a win. Transportation costs in Charlotte are 7% lower than the national average. Contributing to these prices are gas prices, bus fares, and car insurance, which tend to be a little bit more reasonable here.
And of course, that is driver specific, and we do have some crazy drivers around here in Charlotte. So I would venture to say there are quite a few people whose car insurance is not cheap.
Yeah, so one big plus when it comes to affordability in Charlotte is property taxes. And even with the recent 1.37 cent increase to help fund things like capital improvements, arts and culture, and public safety, Charlotte still has the lowest property tax rate of any North Carolina city with a population over 75,000. So that's pretty good. And this is actually the first property tax increase in 6 years. So compared to other major cities where taxes seem to climb every year, Charlotte remains pretty budget-friendly place to own a home. And if you're moving from cities like New York, Chicago, or even parts of California, you're gonna find Charlotte's property taxes to be a massive difference in your wallet when it comes to affordability.
And for retirees, here is a major plus. North Carolina doesn't tax Social Security income. That's a big reason why we see so many retirees moving here to the Charlotte area. Plus, with the lower property taxes and overall affordability, Charlotte is becoming a great option if you're looking for somewhere affordable to retire. One of my favorite things about Charlotte is the location. I mean, when it comes to accessibility, Charlotte is pretty hard to beat. You've got the mountains just a couple hours away, and some of the best beaches on the East Coast are a few hours in the other direction. And there's some pretty cool cities close by for an easy day trip. If you're the kind of person like us who loves weekend getaways, then this is the perfect place to be. Whether you want to go hiking in the Blue Ridge Mountains, relax on a beautiful beach in Wilmington, or even visit historic towns like Charleston and Savannah, you can do it all without getting on a plane. And let's not forget about cities like Greenville, South Carolina, and Blowing Rock, where you can mix in some outdoor adventure with some charming downtown areas. So basically, you're never far from a change of scenery, which is a huge perk of living in Charlotte.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that part. I think Charlotte's central location is one of the biggest selling points for sure. Let's start with the mountains, because who doesn't love a good mountain getaway, right? Asheville is only about 2 hours drive from here, and it's a fantastic destination. It's nestled right in the Blue Ridge Mountains, which offers such a cool mix of nature and culture. And the downtown area is packed with art galleries, unique shops, and some of the best restaurants and breweries in this entire area. area.
And then of course you have the Biltmore Estate. This place is seriously impressive. It's the largest privately owned home in the US, and it looks something like things straight out of a fairy tale. But Asheville isn't just about great food and beautiful architecture, it's also an outdoor lover's dream. You have the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is one of the most scenic drives in the country. Plus there's endless options for hiking, ziplining, camping, and even whitewater rafting. It's the perfect balance of adventure and relaxation, and the fact that it's just a short drive from Charlotte makes it even better.
Yep, and if the mountains aren't your thing, no worries, we've got the beach just a few hours away too. Wilmington is one of the closest coastal cities, and it has an amazing historic downtown right along the riverfront. So you can like stroll along the boardwalk, check out some of the local shops and restaurants, and then head over to the beach, which is Wrightsville Beach. Definitely a hot spot for water sports like surfing, paddleboarding, and kayaking. While Carolina Beach is also awesome, and it has a classic beach town feel, complete with a boardwalk, amusement rides, and live music.
Yeah, Carolina Beach is really great for the kids. They also have a fantastic aquarium and nature center there. And we love Wilmington because 2 of our kids go to college there. So there's a great affordable college right by the beach, and the kids absolutely love it. Another short drive is Charleston, which is a fantastic option. If you've never been to Charleston, it's one of our favorite cities. It's full of history. You have cobblestone streets, awesome southern architecture everywhere, and beautiful waterfront views. And let's be honest, Charleston has some of the best food in the South. Plus you have 2 great beaches nearby, Folly Beach and Isle of Palm. So you can get in your history and your beach fix all in one trip.
Yep, and then there's Hilton Head, which is a little more upscale with super nice golf courses, luxury resorts, and miles of bike-friendly trails. It's the perfect escape for a more relaxing high-end beach vacation. Now on the flip side, if you're looking for something a little bit more lively, Myrtle Beach has a little bit of something for everyone. We're talking amusement parks, a buzzing boardwalk, mini golf, and tons of live entertainment. And if you want to mix of history and beach life, Savannah, Georgia is also another great option. With its moss-covered oak trees, charming squares, and proximity to Tybee Island, which is another great beach destination not far away.
So whether you're looking for a mountain retreat, a fun beach vacation, or a little bit of both, Charlotte makes it so easy to get there. But if you're not in the mood for a long weekend, then there's also some great cities close by for day trips. One of my favorites is Greenville, South Carolina. It's about an hour and a half, and the downtown area is absolutely gorgeous. You have Falls Creek Park on Ready, which is a must-see. It's a beautiful waterfall that's located right in the middle of the city, and it has an iconic suspension bridge that overlooks the water. And Greenville has also become a foodie destination in the recent years. There's all kinds of fantastic restaurants, craft breweries, and a lot of cute little coffee shops. And if you're into walking or biking, the Swamp Rabbit Trail is a 22-mile greenway that runs through the city. And you don't have to come with your bikes. They rent all kinds of different bikes that you can take down on the trail. They have stuff for kids. And if you're not into actual biking, then you can ride an electric bike. There's a lot of different options. They are a very cool city to visit.
And then there's Blowing Rock, which is one of the most charming small towns in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's got everything from boutique shopping, art galleries, local restaurants, and some of the best beautiful views in the entire state. The Blowing Rock formation itself is a famous scenic spot with cliffs that overlook the valleys below. And if you love outdoor activities, this area has amazing hiking trails, waterfalls, and scenic overlooks. Plus they host events throughout the year like the Winterfest and the Art in the Park series.
It's also a great place for a girls' trip during Christmas. They transform the whole town into a cute little Christmas village, and there's tons of Christmas shopping, ornaments, decorations, anything you would want for the Christmas season. So I think it's safe to say that Charlotte's location is a huge plus. You get the best of both worlds. You can be in the mountains or the beach in just a few hours, and you have all these great cities and small towns that make easy day trips. But to be fair, I guess there are a couple of downsides. One of the biggest drawbacks is, while Charlotte is centrally located to a lot of places, you don't necessarily have them right in your backyard. So if you're someone that wants to wake up with ocean views every morning or step outside and be in the mountains, then you might find it a little frustrating that you have to get in the car and drive a few hours. We actually have 3 lakes here surrounding the Charlotte area, but it's not quite the same as living on the coast or being in the middle of the mountains.
All right, Heather, so now let's dive into the real estate scene here in Charlotte for 2025. The city's housing market has been on quite a journey, and this year is no exception. First off, let's talk about home prices. So as of January 2025, the median sale price for a home in Charlotte is around $405,000, which is about 5.2% increase compared to last year. This growth reflects the city's ongoing appeal and economic vitality.
Interestingly, Charlotte has climbed to number 14 on Realtor.com's list of top U.S. housing markets for 2025, a significant jump from number 97 just a year ago. And the National Association of Realtors also highlighted Charlotte as one of the top 10 housing hotspots for 2025, noting an impressive 10% job growth over the last 5 years and strong migration patterns to the Charlotte area. However, it is worth noting that homes are staying on the market a little bit longer than before. The average days on market here in Charlotte has increased to 64 days, up from 54 last year. This shift could indicate a slight cooling in the market or simply a return to a more typical selling times after the rapid pace we've seen over the recent years.
Absolutely. So now let's shift our focus to the rental market, which has its own set of dynamics. So as of January 2025, the average rent in Charlotte is approximately $1,500 a month, which is about 6% lower than the national average. This makes renting in Charlotte relatively affordable when you're comparing to other major cities. However, in popular neighborhoods like South End and Uptown, rents have already exceeded average of $2,000 per month just for a one-bedroom unit, and these areas are likely to see further increases. So despite a recent surplus in apartments leading to a temporary easing in renting prices, experts anticipate that construction slowing, rental prices are going to expect to rise again in the next year.
Also, there's a growing trend towards build-to-rent developments in the Charlotte metro area. Developers are constructing single-family rental neighborhoods to address some of the housing shortages and affordability concerns here in the city. This approach offers an alternative for those unable to afford a down payment or for those unwilling to commit to long-term home ownership.
Yeah, that's a great point. Another trend worth mentioning is the shift towards suburban areas to many families. These areas offer more space and often come with the added benefit of a quieter environment and less traffic, and that can be appealing, especially to families. So the commercial real estate sector in Charlotte is also experiencing growth, particularly in the tech and financial sectors.
It's also important to highlight that while Charlotte's real estate market is thriving, there's a rising demand for affordable housing. Millennials and first-time homebuyers are dominating the market, increasing the demand for properties under $300,000. This trend underscores the need for more affordable housing options to accommodate the influx of new residents. So what do you guys think? Are you considering buying or renting in Charlotte? What neighborhoods do you like? And what is your take on the current market trends here in Charlotte? Drop us a comment down below and let us know what you think.
All right, Heather, so let's dive into a topic that's on everyone's mind when considering a move to Charlotte: traffic and transportation. So it's no secret that how we get around a city can significantly impact our daily lives. And so understanding the ins and outs of the Charlotte transportation scene is pretty crucial. So first off, why don't we try to talk about some of the positives? One of the standout features in Charlotte's transit system is the Lynx Blue Line. This light rail stretches from the University area in the northeast, passes through Uptown, and continues down into the southern part of the city into Pineville. It's really been a true game changer for many residents, especially for those commuting to and from Uptown for work or leisure. The Blue Line connects key neighborhoods like the South End, which has seen tons of growth and revitalization, partly due to this access transit option. The convenience of hopping on the light rail to avoid the hassles of driving around this town and parking in busy areas is a significant perk.
And the city isn't stopping there. Public transit expansions are on the way. They're aiming to enhance connectivity and provide more options for residents. The 2025 fiscal year budget reflects this commitment with a $300 million investment in transportation and neighborhood bonds, making this the largest in the city's history. The funding is going to support various projects throughout the city, including improvements to the existing infrastructure and the development of new transit lines.
Absolutely, that's another great point. So the efforts to expand and improve public transportation are commendable to show the city's dedication to accommodating its growing population. However, we also need to address some of the challenges that come with Charlotte's transportation landscape. So why don't we get into those? Obviously, one of the most pressing issues in Charlotte is our traffic congestion, especially during the rush hours. So as the city continues to grow, more vehicles hit the roads, leading to longer commute time and increased frustration for all drivers. Major highways and main roads can become particularly clogged, making what should be short trips take much longer than anticipated, and it is super frustrating.
There are certain times a day that if we can avoid it, we do not leave the house. And another factor that's contributing to all of this traffic is the constant construction in different parts of the city. While these projects are trying to improve the infrastructure in the long run, they lead to closures, delays, and bottlenecks that just exacerbate the traffic problem in the short term. So it's kind of the classic case of short-term pain versus long-term gain, but it doesn't make the commute any easier for residents.
So despite the advancements in public transit, Charlotte remains a car-dependent city overall. Many areas, especially those not serviced by the light rail or comprehensive bus route, require residents to rely on personal vehicles for their daily activities. And this dependency can be a drawback for people that are accustomed to having extensive public transportation networks.
So these are valid points. It's really a balancing act between expanding the infrastructure and supporting the growth, all while managing the inconvenience that come with the expansion. The city's initiatives, such as the Destination Charlotte project, which is a $4 billion project to plan to improve services and operations through expansion and renovation, are steps in the right direction. However, residents will need to exercise a lot of patience as these projects unfold.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And while the light rail's Blue Line offers a reliable alternative for certain corridors, there's still a significant portion of the city that lacks access to efficient public transportation. This gap underscores the importance of the ongoing and planned expansions, which aim to create a more connected and less car-dependent Charlotte in the near future.
What do you guys think? How do you navigate Charlotte's traffic and transportation system? Do you rely on the light rail, or are you primarily using your car to get around? Let us know some of your experiences if you live here in the Charlotte area.
Yeah, share your comments and tips below. All right, so let's talk about things to do. So what is there to do in Charlotte? Because let's be real, no one really wants to move to a city where there's nothing fun going on, right? And the good news, Charlotte definitely delivers when it comes to entertainment, culture, and outdoor activities. One of the best things about living here is that you're never short on options. Whether you're into arts, museums, live music, outdoor adventure, or just a good meal and a cold craft beer, there's something here for everyone. And I can think of a lot of people who are surprised by just how much Charlotte has to offer beyond the banking city or a NASCAR town. There really is a good mix of culture, history, and new experiences that you can dive into.
Absolutely. Let's start with the cultural scene, because Charlotte really has some gems. And when it comes to museums and performing arts, if you're an art lover, the Mint Museum is a must visit. It is actually one of the oldest art museums in North Carolina, and it has everything from contemporary pieces to historical work. And then you have the Discovery Place. This is fantastic if you're into science, innovation, and interactive exhibit. It's super fun for the whole family, but honestly, adults love it too, and they have some pretty cool adult programs in the evening. It's one of those places where you can learn something new and have a blast at the same time. And of course, we can't talk about culture without mentioning the Bloomingdale Performing Arts Center. This is where you'll find the big Broadway shows, concerts, comedy acts, and even local productions. And if you're someone who loves entertainment, Bloomingdale is where it's at. Plus, we can't forget about the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Charlotte has a deep-rooted NASCAR history. And even if you're not a hardcore race fan, the Hall of Fame is such a cool experience. You get to see the evolution of the sport, interact with different exhibits, and even try out a racing simulator.
Now, if you're more of an outdoorsy person, Charlotte has some pretty awesome places to explore. One of our favorites that we've talked about a bunch in our other videos is the U.S. National Whitewater Center. This place is basically an adventure park for adults and families alike. You've got whitewater rafting, class 4 and 5, kayaking, paddleboarding, rock climbing, mountain biking, zip lining, you name it. And it's not just about the extreme sports, there's also hiking trails, yoga classes, and even outdoor concerts in the summer. Yeah, it's one of those places where you can go for a quick workout or spend an entire day just enjoying the outdoors. While Lake Wiley and Mountain Island Lake are a little bit quieter, but still offer great places to escape the city for a day.
And speaking of fun events, Charlotte knows how to throw a good festival. We have Speed Street, which is a huge racing festival tied to NASCAR. But there's also tons of food festivals, wine festivals, holiday markets, and weekend farmers markets that pop up all over the city. One of my favorites is the Christmas market at the Knight Stadium. They bring in vendors selling handmade crafts, festive Christmas foods, and hot drinks. They also have awesome light displays and family-friendly activities like snow tubing and ice skating. And then you also have weekend farmers markets all over the city, which are great for supporting local businesses. And there's just something about walking into a farmer's market on a Saturday morning and grabbing some fresh produce or some locally roasted coffee and enjoying the community vibe. Charlotte really has a great mix of big, exciting events and smaller, family-oriented ones that make the city feel connected.
Yep, and after all that outdoor fun, let's talk about something that we both love. Charlotte's food and brewery scene. This city has really stepped up in the recent years when it comes to dining and craft beer. Some of the best spots for food lovers are Noda and South End, although most of Charlotte has amazing restaurants. Although those areas are packed with trendy restaurants, food halls, and of course, tons of breweries. In fact, Charlotte's home to over 40 breweries, and the best part is that they all have a different vibe. Some are small and intimate, while others are huge spaces with outdoor seating, live music, and even games. And most of them are dog friendly too, so if you love bringing your pup along for a laid back afternoon, then you'll love the brewery culture here in Charlotte. And as for food, whether you're into Southern comfort food, barbecue, international cuisine, or trendy brunch spots, Charlotte has got it. The food scene is constantly growing and there's always something new popping up around here.
So we covered a lot of the pros, but when it comes to things to do in Charlotte, we're keeping it real and there definitely are a few cons as well. One of the biggest complaints people have is that Charlotte's late night scene isn't quite as lively as some of the bigger cities. So if you're coming from New York, LA, or even Miami, you might find the nightlife here shuts down a little earlier than what you're used to. Sure, we have some bars and nightclubs, but most places close by midnight or even 2 a.m. There aren't a ton of true late night spots, so if you're someone who loves staying out till sunrise, Charlotte may not be your ideal nightlife city.
Charlotte is definitely a bit more laid back social scene compared to some of those other big cities that we've mentioned. It's not that there's nothing to do at night. There's plenty of bars, rooftop lounges, and even some live music venues, but it's just not quite as wild or fast-paced as places like Vegas or New York. So that being said, if you're someone who prefers a mix of daytime activities, great food, and some casual nightlife, Charlotte hits a nice balance there. We want to hear from you either way. What's your favorite thing to do in Charlotte? Are you more into the outdoor adventures, the brewery scene, or the cultural spots? Or maybe there's a hidden gem that we didn't mention that we would love to hear about. So drop that information down below and leave us your thoughts on that. We would love to hear it.
All right, so let's talk about something that is a huge deal for anyone who travels often, Charlotte's airport. So whether you fly a lot for work, vacation, or visiting family and friends, having a solid airport can make a big difference in your overall experience. Now, I think a lot of people don't realize how busy Charlotte Douglas International Airport is. In 2023, it was ranked the 7th busiest airport in the world as far as the number of arrivals and departures, not just in the country, in the actual world. That's pretty impressive for a city that's not even in the top 10 largest metro areas in the US. And when it comes to passenger traffic, Charlotte ranks 9th in North America and 22 globally. So if you live in Charlotte, you've got access to a major travel hub, which means tons of flight options, fewer layovers, and more flexibility when you're planning a trip.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest advantages of living here is having that major airport with tons of connections. Right now, Charlotte offers nonstop flights to over 186 destinations around the world, which is amazing if you travel frequently. It's a hub for American Airlines, so it gives even more options for direct flights, especially if you're headed to the East Coast, Midwest, or even some pretty decent international locations. And let's talk about the recent expansions because the airport has been making some big improvements. If you haven't flown out of Charlotte in a while, you might be surprised at all the new dining, shopping, and lounge options. They've been under construction forever, and they've been working hard to make the airport a better experience with new restaurants and more comfortable seating areas, updated lounges for people who want to relax before their flights.
Another big pro, Charlotte Douglas ranks highly for on-time departures, which is a huge plus if you're someone who hates delays. There's nothing worse than sitting in an airport for hours waiting for your flight to take off. And while that no airport is perfect, Charlotte tends to get people out to where they're going on schedule more often than not.
Yeah, overall, Charlotte is a really solid airport, but we do have to talk about the downsides because it's not all butterflies and rainbows. One of the biggest cons right now is construction. So if you've been to the airport recently, you've probably noticed the constant construction going on, and it can definitely be a big pain in the butt for travelers. But here's the thing, all of this construction is part of a massive $4 billion renovation project called Destination Charlotte. And the goal is to expand and upgrade the airport, keep up with all the passenger growth, and improve overall services. Some of these projects have already been completed, like phase 2 of the Concourse A expansion, which is just open and added 10 new gates, mostly Delta Airlines. It also has 2 new sky bridges to connect to hourly parking in the terminal, and that's really nice. Those just opened recently, making parking and drop off a little bit less chaotic.
While all this construction is frustrating right now, once it's done, Charlotte is going to be a much better airport experience. That being said, another drawback we have to mention is Charlotte is ranked one of the worst airports for layovers in the US. If you've ever had to spend hours here waiting for a connecting flight, you know what we're talking about. It's not that Charlotte is a bad airport, it's just not designed for long layovers the way some airports are. Aren't as great as places like Atlanta and Dallas, where they have huge shopping and dining areas. So if you have a short connection, you might love Charlotte because it's fairly easy to navigate. But if you're stuck for a long layover, maybe not so much. But honestly, the pros outweigh the cons. You're getting a major airport with tons of nonstop destinations, great on-time performance, and a location that makes it super easy to get almost anywhere in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you guys think? Have you ever flown through Charlotte Douglas before? Was it a smooth experience, or were you stuck on a long layover? This is going to be fun. We would love to hear your comments. Drop us a note below and let us know. All right, let's dive into a topic that's becoming increasingly important for many folks considering a move to Charlotte, and that is walkability. As urban living trends shift, more people are seeking neighborhoods where they can stroll to their favorite coffee shop, park, or local market, or local grocery store. How does Charlotte stack up in this regard?
Great question. Charlotte's overall walk score is about 26 out of 100, classifying it as a car-dependent city. This means in general, residents often have to rely on their own vehicles to get around. However, this isn't the case with all areas of Charlotte. There are several neighborhoods here that are notably walkable, offering residents a convenience of accessing a lot of different amenities on foot. For instance, 4th Ward. It boasts a walkability score of 89, making it one of the most pedestrian-friendly areas in the city. 1st Ward comes in second with a walk score of 85, offering a mix of residential and commercial spaces all within walking distance. And 2nd Ward has a walkability score of 84. And it provides easy access to varying amenities. There's also Cherry with a walk score of 80, and this is a cute little historic neighborhood that offers charm and walkability. The very popular Dilworth area, and this scores 78, known for its tree-lined streets and local eateries. And one of our favorites, Noda, which is famous for its vibrant art scenes, eclectic food options, and the close proximity to the Lynx light rail system, which also enhances its walkability. And another area that's becoming increasingly more popular is South End. It's renowned for its craft breweries, its art galleries, boutiques, and tons of restaurants, making it a hotspot for anyone that prefers to walk or bike.
Yeah, absolutely. It's evident that while Charlotte as a whole may lean towards being car dependent, these neighborhoods offer a contrasting experience with their walkable environments. The city recognizes the importance of enhancing walkability, and they're definitely starting to take significant steps in this direction. In the fiscal year 2025 budget, the Charlotte City Council approved a substantial investment of $50 million dedicated to improving sidewalks. This matches the largest commitment in the city's history towards creating a more walkable, safe, and equitable environment for pedestrians. Such investments are crucial in connecting neighborhoods, promoting local businesses, and encouraging a healthier lifestyle.
Beyond sidewalks, the city is also focusing on greenways and pedestrian-friendly bridges to enhance the connectivity of the city. For example, the Briar Creek and Little Hope Creek Greenway recently opened in South Charlotte, adding approximately 1.1 miles of trails that link various parts of the city. This greenway not only provides recreational space, but it serves as alternative routes for pedestrians and cyclists. There's also a really exciting project in the pipeline, a pedestrian-friendly bridge that's going to connect the Uptown and South End area. The bridge is aiming to offer a safer and seamless connection over Interstate 277. This will enhance the connection between two of Charlotte's most urban neighborhoods. These developments are definitely promising. However, it's essential to acknowledge that despite these efforts, Charlotte still remains largely car dependent, especially in the areas outside of the urban core, and many neighborhoods still lack the infrastructure to support a full walkable lifestyle, making cars the primary mode of transportation for numerous residents here in the city.
Yeah, the city's ongoing and planned expansions, such as Ballantyne Reimagined project, aim to create more live, work, play environments. These developments focus on integrating residential, commercial, and recreational spaces, reducing the need for longer commute times and promoting walkability within these communities. It's a journey towards a more walkable city, and while progress is still being made, there is work to be done. Residents and potential movers to Charlotte should consider their lifestyle preferences and their daily needs when choosing a neighborhood in the Charlotte area.
All right, let's dive into one of my favorite aspects of Charlotte, the parks and greenways. For anyone who loves the outdoors, the city offers a variety of options to enjoy it. Let's talk about the sheer number of parks. Charlotte has an impressive 223 parks, providing residents with ample space to relax, exercise, and just connect with nature. It's also worth noting that 38% of residents in Charlotte live within a 10-minute walk of a park, making green spaces accessible to a significant portion of our community. And when it comes to greenways, Mecklenburg County has developed over 70 miles of trails, and recent expansions adding approximately 5 more miles in just 2024 alone. And these greenways are more than just trails. They serve as linear parks that connect people and places, offering recreation, transportation, and fitness.
Additionally, the city is working on connecting existing greenways to the Carolina Thread Trail, which is a regional network of trails that will further enhance connectivity and provide recreational opportunities for residents and visitors alike. It is important to acknowledge, though, despite these efforts, some urban areas in Charlotte still lack adequate green spaces. This means that not all residents have equal access to parks and recreational areas, which is a challenge the city continues to try to address. While Charlotte has made significant strides in expanding its parks and greenways, there's still work to be done to ensure all communities have access to these valuable resources.
So let's talk about something that Charlotte sports fans feel very strongly about, our sports teams. If you love live sports, Charlotte has plenty to offer. We've got teams in the NFL, NBA, and MLS, plus one of the biggest NASCAR hubs in the country. There's always something happening in the sports world here in Charlotte.
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with football because let's be honest, the Carolina Panthers are a huge deal here in Charlotte. Even if you're not a diehard football fan, the energy at the games is really awesome. Fans pack Bank of America Stadium, tailgating starts just hours before kickoff, and the entire city just has a buzz about it. It's one of those experiences that makes you feel connected to the community for sure. And then of course we have the Charlotte Hornets in the NBA. Now I know our Hornets haven't exactly been dominating the league lately, but the Spectrum Center is still a super fun place to catch a game. The atmosphere is awesome, tickets are usually pretty affordable, especially compared to other NBA cities, and you never know when you get a superstar player in there to shake things up. Plus, we have Michael Jordan as the team's owner, and for so many years, it's given the franchise a certain level of credibility, even if we're still last in the league and haven't won a championship ever.
And talking about newer teams, Charlotte is also home to Charlotte FC, our major league soccer team. And even though they're a relatively new franchise, the fan support has been incredible. Their games are at Bank of America Stadium, and they regularly bring in huge crowds, and the soccer culture in Charlotte is definitely growing. If you're into soccer, or even if you've never been to a game before, I highly recommend checking it out. It is a lot of fun, and the energy there is unreal.
And of course, we can't talk about sports in Charlotte without mentioning NASCAR. Charlotte's a major hub for the sport, with Charlotte Motor Speedway hosting some of the biggest races of the year. Coca-Cola 600, Bank of America 400, and the All-Star race all happen right here in Charlotte. So even if you're not a huge race fan, the experience is going to be insane. The speed, the noise, the tailgating. It's a full day event, unlike anything else you've ever experienced. And we've got that NASCAR Hall of Fame, which is definitely a must visit if you're into this sport.
So when it comes to sports culture, Charlotte brings a lot to the table. Whether it's football, basketball, soccer, or racing, there's always something to keep sports fans entertained.
For sure, but let's be real, Charlotte sports fans want more. One of the biggest complaints we hear is, where's our Major League Baseball team? A lot of people feel like Charlotte is more than ready for a Major League Baseball franchise, and honestly, I agree. With the city that has the population, the corporate backing, and the fan base to support a team, plus we've got Truist Field where the Charlotte Knights play, our AAA baseball team. It's one of the nicest Major League stadiums in the country. Just imagine if we had a Major League Baseball team playing right in Uptown. which would be amazing. Then of course, there's the fact that Charlotte teams haven't exactly been stacking up championships lately. The Panthers had a Super Bowl run in 2015, but it's a bit of a rebuild since then, and the Hornets still waiting for that big playoff push. And while the Charlotte FC is new, we're all hoping they'll be title contenders sooner rather than later. And this year the team looks pretty awesome, so I feel pretty confident about that. So while we do have some great teams, Charlotte is still looking for that big sports moment to really put us on the map.
Charlotte definitely has some passionate sports fans, and the city is growing as a sports town. But having a championship winning team or even a Major League Baseball franchise would take it to the next level. And you know what? I bet a lot of people watching this have an opinion on this as well.
Yeah, drop a line below. Comment below, let us know what you think about our sports here in Charlotte. This ought to be a fun one too. All right, y'all, that is a wrap on the pros and cons of living in Charlotte. As you can see, the Queen City has a lot going on. Amazing job opportunities, great schools, a killer food and sports scene, plus all those beautiful parks and greenways. But hey, no city is perfect, right? Whether it's the rising cost of living, public transportation struggles, or that unpredictable Carolina sports scene, Charlotte definitely has its quirks.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to what fits your lifestyle. If you love a lively city with plenty to do and easy access to mountains and beach, and a mix of southern charm and big city buzz, Charlotte might just be the perfect place for you.
So what do you think? Could you see yourself calling Charlotte home? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of our videos.
So we hope you enjoyed our video and we gave you some good pros and cons about living in the Charlotte area. And until the next time, we'll catch you later.